Steph, I'm live. Figured I'd do a quick live stream, kind of cover a couple of things that didn't feel like making a vid for. I mean, I already talked about some of this stuff anyway, but Van Lee, what's up? Trey Young, Scotty Barnes, Westbrook, all fresh. Man, NBA players are fragile, man. It's that time of the year, man. I mean, it's a war of attrition, man. So NBA players are one of the most brittle athletes. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about Chris Paul. Chris Paul actually had an interesting week. Look, D Wade, D Wade has a podcast, man. I don't watch it, but clearly he's getting some sound bites from Chris Paul as one of his another popular guest that decided to appear. So funny thing is Chris Paul in this interview still believes he can win a championship at 38 going on 39. Okay, man, look, this is what he actually had to say. I don't know what Chris Paul is thinking, but he said straight up, even though I think I'm gonna win a championship before I'm done. Yes, absolutely. Chris Paul said when Dwayne Wade asked me, he felt his career would feel incomplete without a championship. I can't even process not winning a championship right now. That's literally how I'm built. But I love what I've been able to do with my career, and I was probably a lot more stressed about that once upon a time. Okay, Chris Paul, man. I think the championship window has sealed Chris Paul. He had a chance when he was with Phoenix to win against Milwaukee Bucks, and that didn't work out. Didn't work out. Team collapsed. They were up 2-0 on the Bucks. And a lot of times in professional sports, man, you will most likely never get back to the promised land unless you are an all-time great player. Is Chris Paul an all-time great player? That's a tough one for me. I don't know if he's an all-time great. Is he one of the greatest point guards to have played this game? Sure, but when I think all-time great player, I'm thinking like, I gotta have you on my squad. And I never got that from Chris Paul. I mean, he has had a good career for being what 6 feet and to do what he's done. That's pretty good. But as far as winning a championship, I mean, you still feel you can win it. You said that's how you're built. Does he really believe in the Warriors can win a championship this season? I don't think so. I really don't. The Warriors they're starting to play well now, but I mean they got to work their way up the standings, man. And he's been brittle. So, and if in some fantasy world, if the Warriors are able to win a championship this year, I mean, how much impact is Chris Paul really going to have in them doing that? But I don't even see the Warriors win a championship, and he's bounced around. Right? He mentioned early in the week about Daryl Morey lying, which Daryl Morey is a liar, yes, but a lot of GMs and agents are liars. So Daryl Morey's in that umbrella, right? They're always gonna say what the players want to hear to just kind of keep things chill, right? But they're always going to operate in the best interest. But he's been bounced around now lately. OKC. Okay, goes from OKC to Phoenix. All right, Phoenix to Golden State. Going on 39, almost 40 years old. How much more can he contribute to winning a championship? Not much at this point, at this stage of career. And it's really not a knock on him. I mean, he's had a great career. Prime Chris Paul has been an excellent point guard. It's just that, the team just hasn't been able to get over the hump. And part of that was because he played for Doc Rivers. And we know Doc Rivers' shortcomings, so he's been cursed by that as well. And then the injury bugs. I mean, that Houston series against Golden State, I mean, Chris Paul tweaks his hamstring over. Now, I still think they should have won Game 6 or Game 7. I mean, if James Harden at the time was considered one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, should have found a way to get through that. But they still could have used Chris Paul, obviously. So that was it. He'll be in that Charles Barkley realm, Allen Iverson realm. I still take Allen Iverson over Chris Paul. I'm sorry, I'm taking him. But you know, And honestly, like Iverson led a team. Like I almost count this. You can't do this, but I almost count that champion. I almost count the 01 Sixers getting to the finals as a championship for Iverson. I mean, what he did with that squad with the Dikembe Mutombo and Eric Snow. I mean, God, I've never seen Chris Paul do something like that, and he's had considerably better talent than Allen Iverson. Yeah, I mean, like all time greats had that moment. I don't know about. Okay, okay. So Chris Paul did have a moment, right? He did. Um, the only moment I can recall for Chris Paul Van Lee is that I think it was that series against the Spurs in 2015. I think it was in the closeout game, and Chris Paul had like he was closing out. He had a couple jumpers, closed it out. I believe in the Western Conference Finals in 2021, Game 6 against the Clippers. He had a moment, but I know what you mean though. It wasn't like oh my god, but it was kind of cool though. So he's had moments, but not to like crazy. I only remember because as a Suns fan, and also too is like the Clippers beating the Spurs, who had just won the championship the year before. So he's had moments, but I know what you mean though. It's not like the moment where we're like we'll forever remember these moments in NBA lore, right? So I get that. Um, yeah, Warriors can't do anything without Klay Thompson, obviously. I mean, but Klay Thompson's been shown himself. Steve Kerr has had to be like a therapist in a lot of ways. Um, just not getting through him. Maybe when he got, I mean, he's been playing better off the bench. Clearly, whatever adjustment Steve Kerr has made, it's worked. I mean, they've been 11-4 or 12-4, their last 16 games. So somehow it's working. And Andrew Wiggins, I mean, Andrew Wiggins got a lot of family issues. I mean, I'm not gonna, I don't know, I don't care to research his personal business or nothing like that. But I mean, he's had this issue last year. It's this year, and the Warriors are talking about probably just moving on from Wiggins. It's just one of those things where it's just best to you take time, go somewhere, fresh start, focus on your family stuff. We can't really rely on you. When we need you, something's always coming up in your family. So I hope Wiggins is all right. I really hope he gets everything squared away. But that's his personal life, so it is what it is. Yeah, but I mean, Chris Paul is just he's a great point guard, but just I don't see how you win a championship. That's literally how I'm built. Built for what? I never saw it. When the teams needed you at the most, you've always gotten hurt. You know, is he cursed? I don't know. Just bad luck, probably. But yeah, you know, phenomenal point guards. I wonder where Chris Paul ranks amongst the point guards, like some of the best true point guards. Like, is he really better than Steve Nash? Is he really better than John Stockton? Is he better than Allen Iverson? He's not better than Isaiah Thomas. We're not going there. Is he better? Is he really better than Jason Kidd? I don't think so. I'm not buying that. Injuries has plagued him, and Chris Paul has had a reputation of being slightly dirty. He's no doubt a Hall of Famer, but I mean, how much does the NBA Hall of Fame really matter? I mean, it seemed like they almost let everybody in. You know, but man, he was talking crazy about this whole championship, still trying to get a ring. I mean, that ship is sailed, bro. It's over unless you leave and you go to Boston to be like a second, third string backup, right? Like you're just gonna have to just take a league minimum and ride the coattails of a young team, right? Go back to OKC, be a bench veteran. Go to Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, go somewhere or Denver, play behind, Reggie Jackson, if he's still there, behind Jamal Murray, ride the bench, barely get minutes. Cool, you won a championship. It's on your resume, but ain't nobody's going to look at you like you contributed on those teams. So maybe he's speaking from a standpoint that he feel he can win in Golden State, but I mean, I know Golden State's doing well right now, but can they keep this up? You know, when will Draymond Green knock another fool upside the head? When will Klay Thompson go on a crazy slump? And Andrew Wiggins, will he win and will he come back to the court if he can't handle his family situation? Right? I have a lot of respect for Chris Paul's career. Game is nice. Hell of a player. Prime Chris Paul was really good. But for Chris Paul, like he never really had like a good, well, I don't know, like a good second or third act. I feel like because Jason Kidd won in Dallas, right, in 2011. Jason Kidd was like what, 37, 38. Jason Kidd had like a good like second, third act, you know, and was able to capitalize on it and win in Dallas. And he contributed in that championship a lot. For Chris Paul, I guess his second act, third act, whatever, was probably in Phoenix, and that was really the exact sweet spot for him to get it done. He couldn't do it. So Chris Paul has had good second, third acts, Houston, Phoenix, great opportunities, couldn't get it done. You know. And look, Chris Paul, as great as he is, I'm not gonna say he's gonna be forgotten in NBA history or anything like that, but his impact is not gonna be remembered for a while. You know, it's gonna be on the conversations, and yeah, oh yeah, Chris Paul, like that's the type of player. Oh yeah, Chris Paul was nice, yeah, but it's like, oh yeah, nobody's gonna be like, oh yeah, Chris Paul was that dude, da da da. Like nah. So you know, he still can talk that talk of winning a championship, but that's not happening. I don't see it. He had his window, he missed his opportunity. He'll be a really great player without a championship ring. Now, Warriors can stun everybody and navigate this crazy West and then await a monster coming out of the East and win that. It's sports, anything can happen, you know, but I'm not betting my money on that. And my other subject, I've talked about this quite a few already. Cam Newton. Cam had a hell of a week. You know, it's just, you know, when those two dudes, like when you first saw the video of Cam Newton getting to that scuffle, it was just kind of like, what is going on here, man? Here we go again, black people fighting, you know, not knowing how to behave at an event that's supposed to be for the kids, for the 7-on-7 and everything like that. You know, the two guys immediately came out with a statement saying Cam was talking in the parking lot from his car about my money long, or I got a lot of money, and you know, we were going to put the places bet and everything. And it's always when trash talking gets involved in talking about your pockets get involved, it's always a recipe for disaster. And look like that's what happened here. You know, now people in the comment is saying that, oh, this is what happens in 7-on-7. Trash talking happens. This is sports. Yeah, I understand trash talking happens. It is. I get it. It's trash talking. I understand that. You know, but what I don't understand is like, yo, why are the coaches so involved in the trash talking when the kids are the ones that got to perform? You know, it's almost kind of like y'all glorifying the trash talking, but yet the moment is really supposed to be about these kids and potentially get an opportunity to play football at a higher level, right? And use football if they're in a tough situation to be able to help their family down the road, right? But the coaches, and these coaches, Cam said, were his friends or, you know, used to work with him and stuff like that, and it got to this level where, I mean, you see the video, you see Cam it looked like Cam got snuffed, and Cam is, you know, yanking somebody, throwing. I mean, it's just like those two dudes were ragdolls to Cam, and Cam could have really inflicted some serious damage. And he mentions all that in his apology because he finally addressed it today, you know. And Cam didn't go into specifics, right? He didn't dive into what exactly was said, right? I mean, of course, Cam is still, he still has a lot of businesses. He has his own podcast and everything and whatnot. I'm sure he's trying to expand on that in the future, so he can't really add any more credence to this, or give people any more talking points. His only option was to take the high road, and leave it at that, And he said he's going to continue to, do 7-on-7s. There was a lot of talking on both sides, all sides. And let's just put it like that. Newton said he declined to place blame on anyone or specifics. It's something that starts with words and should have ended with words. He added, I'm disappointed in myself, letting it escalate to what it did. That's what I'm apologetic to. Newton said, dismissing public comments from other men involved. Right. And he really could have flamed them up, because some other dudes, they quickly got on that little circuit. They was on TV like a couple of days later on someone's podcast already yipping and yapping. You know what I'm saying, about the whole situation, really, making Cam look bad and everything. And, those men took some level of accountability, but it's just kind of like, you know what? Cam said he saw what they're doing. We saw what those guys were doing, Place the blame on Cam. Okay, even if Cam started, y'all still two grown men, drawing back and forth. You forget the main purpose of the whole point of 7-on-7. It seemed like it's more about the coaches than the kids at this point. I don't know. Cam wants to continue to do this. I get it. He feel it's his contribution to the black community and all that stuff. But, I mean, to what end? Right? This won't be the last time something won't get started. Now they know that Cam can be checked or try to be checked. Like, he's ready to throw down. And Cam can have the coolest temperament in these events and everything. Will he just kind of let it go? Because we saw what happened with old Talib brothers and how tragic that ended. And Cam is aware of that. Maybe just have better security. You got all that money. Let those other guys do the trash talking. If you are going to decide to do those events. But cool for Cam taking the high road. Cam has just more to lose overall than those two guys. And it's just like the irony of it is, like, Cam has those two coaches under his team, helped them and everything. They were able to separate, start their own program and whatnot. And then this is what Cam get. Like, even in John back and forth, right? Like, you still lack, the cognizance to be like, yo, Cam, I know we just trash talking, but Cam definitely put us on game. We wouldn't be here without Cam and some of the resources he's provided us. For us to be a coach and have our own 7-on-7 program, teams, X, Y, and Z, it's almost kind of like slapping your reference for a job. You work with your boss, y'all had good relationships, he helped you out. You start your own business, everything, and then you end up slapping the man that basically helped feed you. Crazy, and you just try to tussle with him. And trying to do good work in the black community is hard work. Why does it have to be hard work? I don't know. Jealousy, envy, materialistic, pride, ego, all that stuff, right? Always has to be something, So at this point, could Cam be in the wrong initially? Maybe if the trash talking was true, that he started first, right? But it still don't matter, because what I've been told, this happens all the time. Trash talking happens all the time. So, okay, then fine. Who cares if Cam started talking trash first? Why would the other gentleman escalate it to this level? I have no idea. Will Cam work with these guys again? Will Cam want to face those teams again? Cam, taking the high road probably would be more than likely to, but at that point, man, those aren't your friends anymore. Former acquaintances, that's it. Them dudes is roughhouses. They want to get physical. They look silly getting physical. It was a week on their part. Two men jumping Cam Newton, grown men. I don't know if they got kids and families of their own, but it is more embarrassing on their part than Cam Newton. Cam Newton was going to leave this situation unscathed, honestly, regardless of who started, because he's Cam Newton. All right, he's the one who's going to generate the money, generate the people in these camps, these people come to these 7-on-7 events and all this other stuff. Those other two guys, you know, whatever event that, who knows how much pull Cam has in these events where he can simply just be like, you know what, I don't want those two coaches and their teams there. And it sucks because those kids get affected. Not that Cam will do that, but he could have the ability to do that. You know? It's crazy, man. Crazy. But it seemed like, you know, Cam learned his lesson not to, for at least from his side, not to get involved in all of that. And, you know, make sure that he tries to keep the peace going forward. You know, but stupid on those guys to think that they can try to check. NFL player who just recently got out the league. Cam is 6'5", 250 plus, dieseled out. Like, he could have really inflicted some serious damage. But Cam could have really got hurt too, though. You know, so. But Cam, to his credit, he mentions all of this in his response. You know, he acknowledges that, you know, it could have affected a lot of people if this went south really quickly. You know, if it went further than what had transpired. You know, he could have been really hurt badly, sued, everything. Cam got a whole lot of kids. You know, says he got like 8 kids and everything. Someone could have, you know, produced a weapon, caused harm. There's a whole bunch of things that could have happened. And we'd be talking about something entirely different today. So we shall see going forward for the next 7-on-7 event with Cam Newton. But, you know, I respect his response, and I respect that he didn't really go into detail on who said what first and who said this and that. Because Cam knows it is trash talking. It is part of the culture of 7-on-7. So there's no need to really go into what was said. All he can do is just take accountability. And that's just being mature, you know, being a man about the situation, not throwing those guys under the bus or trying to, and if he did say anything, you know, it could potentially backfire on those guys, not getting opportunities to have their teams be at 7-on-7 events and whatnot. So Cam didn't want any parts in being the reason why those gentlemen are not going to get opportunities to coach 7-on-7 or go to some more 7-on-7 events. You know, so everything he said was calculated. You know, I'm not saying it was phony, but he was just very cautious in his words and how he presented his apology and everything. So the aftermath of all this, I think Cam Newton, his video response, I think he handled this excellent. So short stream for me tonight, man. Anyways, guys, man, thank you for watching. If you watch this later, leave me your thoughts about all this, man. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.